When news broke that Brandon Blackstock had quietly passed away after a private battle with cancer, the headlines rushed to paint a respectful portrait of a man who died peacefully, of a mother canceling her shows to support her children, and of a family coming together in grief. But behind the polished statements and timed media releases, something about this entire situation feels disturbingly curated. For years, Kelly Clarkson and Brandon Blackstock were locked in a brutal public war over money, custody, betrayal, and power. A war so bitter it dragged through courtrooms and tabloids, stripping away any illusion of civility. And now, just as Clarkson begins rebranding herself with a new show, a new image, and renewed public sympathy, her ex-husband dies quietly in the background. Without a word from her, no tribute, no farewell, just silence. Fans are beginning to wonder whether this wasn't just a coincidence, but a perfectly timed silence. A narrative reset disguised as grief. And if that's the case, the question isn't just why she canceled her shows, it's what she knew. And when. The official story is simple. Brandon Blackstock, Kelly Clarkson's ex-husband and former manager, died at the age of 48 after a long, private battle with cancer. Family sources say he passed away peacefully, surrounded by loved ones. But if you followed the unraveling of Kelly and Brandon's relationship, you know there was nothing peaceful about their past. This wasn't just another Hollywood divorce. It was a scorched earth war that left reputations shattered, bank accounts emptied, and a trail of court documents that read more like revenge than resolution. For years, Brandon was not only her husband, but also her business manager, until Clarkson accused him of fraud, misrepresentation, and using her success to line his own pockets. She didn't just file for divorce. She took him to court for overstepping legal boundaries, demanded millions back, and fought to sever every financial tie they had ever shared. And she won. So, when news of his death surfaced, just hours after Kelly canceled her remaining Las Vegas residency shows, it wasn't just the tragedy of a father passing away. It was the eerie silence from Kelly's side that raised eyebrows. There was no immediate tribute, no emotional post, no personal acknowledgement of the man she once built a life with. Only a vague statement about needing time with her children. The question now isn't whether she was devastated, it's whether she was prepared. Or worse, if she had already moved on long before the final chapter was written. Before his death became a headline, Brandon Blackstock was already infamous for being more than just Kelly Clarkson's ex-husband. He was the man behind the curtain, managing her career, overseeing her deals, and controlling the business side of her stardom while standing beside her as a husband. For years, the world believed they were a power couple, but behind the scenes, what looked like partnership was unraveling into something far darker. When Kelly filed for divorce in 2020, she didn't just walk away from a marriage, she ignited a legal war that would expose their relationship as a battlefield built on control, financial dependency, and betrayal. She accused him of defrauding her out of millions by acting as an unlicensed manager, using her trust to funnel money back into his own ventures. He demanded spousal and child support so outrageous, it triggered backlash from fans and the public. Their legal fight stretched over 2 years, with Clarkson ultimately ordered to pay him over $1 million in a one-time settlement, plus tens of thousands in monthly support, all while battling to gain primary custody of their 2 children. What made it more brutal was how public it all became. Every court document, every quote, every leak to the press became ammunition. This wasn't just a breakup. It was a reputational knife fight. And now, with Brandon's sudden passing, that bitter chapter has ended in a silence that feels unearned. There's no apology, no reconciliation, no hint that either side made peace. And as fans scroll through her social media looking for emotion, the only thing more unsettling than what's being said is what isn't. The war is over, but the scars haven't faded. And maybe they never will. The news of Brandon Blackstock's death didn't come from Kelly Clarkson herself. It wasn't a heartfelt post, a family tribute, or even a press conference. It came quietly through carefully crafted media reports, synchronized across outlets like People magazine and The Daily Beast, using identical language that felt more like a script than a spontaneous revelation. What was missing was rawness, emotion, anything real. Clarkson had canceled her remaining Las Vegas shows just hours earlier, giving only a vague explanation about being with her children. At the time, no one knew why. But when the news of Blackstock's death broke, the connection became impossible to ignore. Yet even then, there was no confirmation of whether Kelly was by his side in his final moments, or if they had even spoken before the end. Her team released nothing. She made no personal post, no black and white photo, no quote, just silence. And then, quietly, attention shifted. Her upcoming projects resumed promotion. Her new show remained on schedule. It felt less like grief and more like cleanup, a neatly handled event that avoided controversy, sidestepped emotion, and re-centered the spotlight exactly where she wanted it. To some fans, it looked like a woman protecting her children during a tragedy. But to others, it looked like a rebrand finalized by fate. And in the middle of all this, one question lingers. Did Kelly say goodbye in private? Or did she let the silence speak for her? For all the years Kelly Clarkson spent fighting Brandon Blackstock in court, the one thing fans hoped for, even quietly, was some form of closure. Not a reconciliation, not forgiveness, but a final moment of humanity between two people who once built a life together. Instead, what they got was silence. No one knows if Kelly called him before he passed. No one knows if the children were given a chance to say goodbye. The only thing that's certain is that Brandon is gone, and Kelly hasn't said a word. Not publicly, not emotionally, not even symbolically. It's a chilling contrast to the way she once sang about heartbreak, betrayal, and survival. This isn't the Kelly Clarkson who poured her emotions into albums and let the world watch her heal. This is a version that feels distant, strategic, and eerily composed. Some fans believe it's her way of protecting her peace, of shielding her children from more media attention. But others see something else. The possibility that regret is louder in silence, that maybe she thought there was more time, that maybe, after all the battles and the bitterness, she expected one last conversation that never came. Now, with Brandon's death closing the door forever, the absence of closure has become the loudest part of this story. And if guilt is playing any role in her silence, it might not be the headlines that haunt her in the coming months. It might be the goodbye she never got to give. As the dust settles, it's not the official headlines that are going viral, it's the fan theories. Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok have become breeding grounds for speculation, with users dissecting every detail from Kelly Clarkson's silence to the suspiciously timed press coverage. Some are asking whether she knew Brandon was near the end and chose to stay silent. Others believe the death was downplayed to protect her image as she prepares for her next career move. But the most unsettling theory is the one quietly gaining traction: that this tragedy was treated more like a PR hurdle than a personal loss. For years, Kelly has carefully crafted a brand of resilience. The woman who overcame betrayal, who took her pain and turned it into power. But now, fans are noticing the cracks: the lack of emotion, the timing of her show's promotion, the absence of a single genuine moment in the aftermath of Brandon's death. And while her core supporters defend her right to grieve privately, others feel disconnected, as if something real was edited out of the narrative. In a world where celebrities are expected to perform their emotions for public consumption, Kelly's silence has become more suspicious than respectful. It's no longer just about what happened behind closed doors. It's about how the entire situation was handled in front of them. And with every day that passes without a word, one thing is becoming clearer. The public isn't grieving. They're watching. Brandon Blackstock is gone, and the chapter is closed. But not cleanly. What's left behind isn't just silence, it's discomfort. A timeline that doesn't make sense. A woman who once shared everything, now sharing nothing. A tragedy that feels less like a moment of grief and more like a move in a larger game. Maybe we'll never know what truly happened in those final days. Maybe Kelly will speak, or maybe she'll bury it with everything else. But one thing is certain, the public is no longer buying what's polished. They're searching for what's missing. And in a story this complicated, the truth isn't always in what's said. It's in what's carefully, deliberately left unsaid,